Welcome everybody, I'm speaking to Mayu, and Mayu's going to talk to us about forest bathing and forest bathing as a therapy. Mayu, thank you so much for coming today and being on the podcast. So good to see you.
Good to see you too.
So, Mayu, can you just explain about forest bathing and what got you interested in that and using it as a therapy for people?
Yeah, forest bathing is a Japanese way of practicing walking slowly in nature using your all senses. So it's quite different from bushwalk. We call it Shinrin-yoku, the word composed from 3 different characters. Shin means forest, rin means woods, and yoku means bathing, as you go for sunbathing or moonlight bathing in a full moon night. Now, Shinrin-yoku is very different from bushwalk, because bushwalk is you just go from one place to another, from A to B, so you always have a purpose to walk. Shinrin-yoku, you can stay in one place. For example, you don't really have to walk that far. So gaining distance is not for the purpose. To be in that moment, to suck everything, immersing the environment right now, to experience, to feel what's happening in the forest. And that is very mindful exercise. So if you walk slowly to try to develop your curiosity, to look closer to the plant, or to find out something that you normally don't discover. And this walk is really relaxing your mind and slow down everything. So that's, everyone goes say, I go to bushwalk all the time, but with that intention is walk, and you sweat a little bit, maybe you feel good, you feel so refreshing, but forest bathing is more into yourself, back to yourself, with the help of nature.
Okay, so it's really something more like an internal exercise.
It's more internal exercise.
You go inside and you really just experience the moment surrounded by nature.
Yes.
And just being present. And when you're present, are you present with your thoughts? Are you present with your senses? Or is it different exercises that you do?
Because the forest bathing, you need to use all senses. So you see, you hear, you listen, you smell, and you can touch, and you taste of the forest. So these senses will help you to get your all senses in you. The forest is guiding you by giving you those information, and then you start aligning with yourself with this element. So if you don't slow down, you don't get that experience. But because you slow down and just focusing on maybe one sound, normally sound from your ears, but sometimes try to catch the sound from using your back, because there's sounds everywhere. So these surroundings area, you just soak into the environment.
That is when you say like that about information, like the forest is giving you so much information because it sounds, because it smells, because it is enlivening your senses, like bringing you alive because of like your deep breathing outside, like the fresh air and the sound of birds and the freshness of the plants and the rustle of little animals. There's so much really going on in the forest. It's just alive.
It is alive.
And it brings your senses alive, and really it sounds like the practice of bringing those senses alive and observing them and experiencing them.
Exactly. So you start developing a connection with them, which I cannot really describe it well, but sometimes, because I often go to the bush for photograph trees and plants, I see you, studying about the trees. Suddenly you start feeling interesting connection with you and trees, as if the friendship's been there for a long time. So you start feeling about the trees, and maybe tree is giving you some messages, I don't know, but when you look up, you see another life there. So these, circling. So you are here, nature is there, other elements in nature there, and it's all in one.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So what is it about that was personally attractive to you?
Because it's simple, forest will be your coach or your guidance. You don't really need to anything but just being in a forest, and all of a sudden you start realizing so relaxing. And why? Because we used to live in the nature, all the time, ancient time, and nature is home. So going back to nature is, to me, is going back home. So if you go outside of the home, if you don't come back home, it'll be problem. Same thing. So every time you go out, you're back to yourself. You go outside, you're back to where you belongs to. And to me, nature is our home. That's why I think to being at home as a therapy is wonderful. It's very simple, the very basic things for us.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I just feel that I struggle so often that we are removed from nature too much in our lives, and you have to make this effort to connect with nature instead of it just being your everyday experience. Unless you have to make an effort to be a part of nature and to do practices such as forest bathing instead of living your life all day, every day like that. Exactly. And when you do return to nature, it is so uplifting and it's so enjoyable, and you feel that feeling of that oneness and connection, and you just feel that joy and peace and all the good stuff that we try and get from other mediums like the media or TV or which is like escapism, because we're not experiencing that joy. And not to say you can't be entertained by those things, but you don't need it when you just feel good all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All these man-made sound or things is good sometimes, but most of the time it's confusing, very confusing. A lot of voices, a lot of informations, you cannot really digest it really well. But in the forest, there are always simple sounds, simple messages, which is tuning with your vibration, and you start feeling, oh, this is nice.
That's so true. Confusing would be that's the word, really. Confusing, because it's conflicting. There's all these, and it's all, since we've got so much global information now, and we're just being bombarded. You really have to make sure you step away from it and not engage in it too much, because it's crazy.
It is crazy.
It drives you crazy.
Yes.
Yeah.
So once you're in the forest, you breathe with the pace of the forest breathing. So they breathe together, and you don't really think much, because your body knows exactly, intuitively, we are home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It's just instinct. You feel that way.
Yes.
Yeah. You know. You just know. It is. It's kind of like words can't describe it. It's like any kind of practice that's reaches your heart and your soul. It's it's beyond intellect, so it's not really the experience. It's just the experience. So, Mayu, what is the history of how do you say again? Shinrin-yoku?
Shinrin-yoku.
Shinrin-yoku.
Yeah, Shinrin-yoku. The word of Shinrin-yoku was coined in 1982 by the director of a Japanese forestry agency, Mr. Akiyama. We all know that we feel good in the nature, but no one could tell why we feel so relaxing. And then number of scientists and other countries around the world, they start doing a study on people to investigate the physiological and psychological benefit of nature on human health and well-being. So that was just happened recently after 1990. And first test was conducted in Japan, one of the big island called Yakushima, where we believe that there is an ancient forest in there. So they have some subject people to test, and then they check the stress hormone cortisol from the saliva of the subject before and after walk. So since then, there's so many studies being done in a different forest in Japan and other countries. And in 2003, the guy called Professor Miyazaki, he's a Japanese guy, who's been studying the benefit of Shinrin-yoku, has offered Shinrin-yoku as a therapy, first time in the world. Because by the time they have enough data, scientifically proven data, and that data shows enormous outcome from the subject. So, for example, enhancing weakened immune system, increasing relaxation, mood, reducing stress levels and anxiety, that improves the quality of sleep. Those data, based on this data, he said, well, this can be a therapy. Could be not alternative, but one of the therapy to
complementary
therapy to enhance humans' health and well-beings.
And what kind of doctor was he? Or a psychologist or a medical doctor?
He's a bit of both.
Okay. Yeah, interesting.
It's very interesting.
And so the research really reflected how good this is. It's funny though that you have to have a scientific research to tell us that. But it's almost like people want that kind of evidence-based knowledge to be convinced. Oh, go to nature and feel better. Okay.
Yeah. So then they start realizing why we feel so good in nature because of this data and some of the essence in the forest, like phytoncide, which is a chemical that tree or plant produce to protect from fungus or insect attack. When you go to the forest, you start smelling some forest aroma, and that is the chemical produced from the trees and plant, because they talk to each other through the root system and to protect from these fungus attacks.
Wow.
They swap the information. And we human take a smell of that phytoncide. Once the phytoncide in our body, it enhances one of the cells called NK cell, natural killer cell. They activate that cell, which is really important to fight with a lot of stress-related diseases. So that was also proven by the test. And then, hey, phytoncide is an amazing effect on our body. And also near the water or waterfall, there's negative ions that also, increase your relaxation, physiological relaxation. So these negative air ion and phytoncide, those binding together to give us a lot of good health benefits.
Wow, that's really, that's amazing. That level of research is fascinating.
It is.
Yeah, to even, because then you're understanding the natural world better as well by knowing what they're actually, what the forest is actually doing for the health of the forest.
Yes.
And the root system and interchanging information. Fascinating.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
It is.
I'd love to read one of those studies. I just find that kind of information really exciting to know.
I have a book called The Hidden Story of Trees. I can lend it to you if you want to.
Yeah, the Hidden Story of Trees. I'd love to. Gosh.
Yes. Hidden Life of Trees. Sorry.
Hidden Life. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
No, someone else has told me. I've definitely heard that before about the root, but I've never looked into it. And it'd be lovely to really understand trees and plants and I myself suffer with like a lack of green finger. Especially my indoor plants. Sometimes they just don't look well and I really try hard to bring them back to life, but I don't feel like I have a natural green thumb, green finger, but I do, I love a garden. I love a wild garden, which I'm lucky to have.
You have a beautiful garden. Yeah.
A beautiful wild garden. Because I love that it's kind of free.
Yes.
And it grows in its own way and pattern and observing that as well. And I always find it interesting when I walk past people that have very trimmed hedges and everything's like perfect. And it's like, wow, okay, that's different.
It is very different. let them communicate together and let them build whatever, they can, because all plants, they ultimate their life whenever they are given to grow. And so if we too much care about surroundings, they start losing that, freedom or
losing their health.
Too. So let them grow wild is the best way.
Grow wild, yeah. It's just beautiful to be in. I find a beautiful wild forest or rainforest, all those kind of things. That just makes me very excited and happy. I went to Bellingen. I went to the Dorrigo rainforest. Last year. I've never been before, and I was there actually on my birthday last year. And after about 20 minutes walking through it, I turned around to my son and I was like, I'm having the best birthday. This is so much fun. It's like a 3-hour walk. 20 minutes in, I was so excited. I was just happy to be in this, with the canopy, this incredibly natural, ancient place of beauty and waterfalls. It's just magic. Magical. It does, and it feels magical, and it feels like home. And it's just I need to find a way to get back there. But so maybe something that I practice a lot is mindfulness, and I know we touched on that a little bit about how forest bathing is connected to mindfulness, but do you want to explain a little bit more about that connection and what mindfulness is in forest bathing?
To me, mindfulness is to be present, being in the moment, by understanding and feeling what's happening around you, what's happening inside of you. I want to talk about one word called yuragi. This is a Japanese word. Yuragi is a sound or could be in a motion. Now, yuragi translated in English as fluctuation. So when the tree branches or leaves just moves by the wind, that kind of movement, or the sound of the water, or the way the candlelight moves, or the bird tweeting, there is a certain vibration of frequencies in this that nature creates, rhythm. We have the same yuragi rhythm in our body. The way you blinks, the internal organ moves, open, close, breathe in, breathe out, the way the blood flows in your body, they're yuragi. So yuragi inside of you and yuragi from the nature, they synchronize together. Then you can really feel unbelievable sense of calmness. And you don't really have to sit down, but you can even standing up and just looking up, seeing these motions or listening this sound instantly relaxes your mind, and you start feeling a pure joy of being there. And that's really important to me, because if you don't feel any joy of being there, whatever you do, without joy, life is so boring. Yes. So joy of awareing where you are and understanding what's happening in that moment in the forest. I think that's a real mindfulness to me. To enhance this experience to the people, I encourage to chi breathing. Chi means energy. So in other words, just a deep breathing, but focusing on one point of the body and just totally you let go with the breathing. But while you are doing exercise, you always subconsciously catching the information from outside, but still information coming to you, but still you are very calm. It's not like TV information or radio information makes your brain really chaotic, but the sound in nature is aligning and helps you to breathe better, helps you to focus better.
Yeah, definitely. So there's huge benefits to doing that practice in nature. You get far deeper benefits. And and far more understanding about that connection. Yeah, about frequency and
Yeah.
vibration.
And also you can touch some plants or trees to compare the difference of the temperature. You'll be amazed, oh, this tree is colder than that tree, or this tree is warmer than that tree, or finding out some interesting pattern of the leaves or the flowers. These are there all the time, but your eyes and mind are not just focusing on it. So once you develop your curiosity to touch, feel it, and discover, it's also give you a joy. So it gives you another level of connection with the nature.
Definitely, definitely. So, Mayu, what would be, I mean, Western culture, we are separated from nature. I know we've discussed that, but how could we connect? What would you suggest on a daily basis if you, to make that connection with nature? Do you have any tips on how to be more present with nature, or I don't know, if you can get 5 minutes of taking your shoes off and walking on the ground? Like,
that's a great way of connecting with nature. Or having a pot of plants in your room, or if you're working, have a little green in the office space, or having some favorite nature photos or paintings, have something green. Green has also effect of relaxation, relaxing your mind.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's, I think, just having that, I always try to find something. I mean, I'm very lucky because I live on a ground floor flat, and I can walk outside to the garden, and I feel connected quite quickly.
Yes.
But I know for people, I always wonder about people that live in, high rises, and you can't even maybe get a sense of what the outdoors is like, and then you go out on the ground floor, and I feel I don't know how people live like that personally, but I just have to find that way to always be connected, and indoor plants are good.
Indoor plants, it's really good.
Yes.
If there's a park nearby, you can always take a walk. You can just sit down on the grass or sit on a bench and just look up trees, or listen to birds.
Yes.
Enjoy the sun on your skin, and feel the nice breeze.
You know what I find funny is how we, then, like I just said before, about how it's like then this activity that we have to go and do instead of it just being
exactly
everything,
just being,
just being like just being part of it. And that's how all Indigenous cultures live, and still some of them are fortunate enough to live like and be sustainable, and just be in the whole cycle and of life with nature. And in our culture, we have to find ways to remember who we are and come out of the mind, because I just find that, and that's why I'm such an advocate for mindfulness, because I feel like we live in the intellect so much, and that's where all the mental illness is. And if you live in that space, it just seems very valuable. Intellect is like the highest value in our culture, and it's just not that valuable to being a human being. It's only one aspect. It's mind, body, spirit, and all of them have to be aligned and supported and helped. And I really think, doing something, practicing forest bathing is definitely one key to connecting all the time, and knowing who you are and being a part of who you are.
Slowing down
is
the first step.
Being calm, slowing down, and just feeling that joy and feeling happy that you're alive, which can be, something that people struggle with because of anxiety and depression and working in an office and all the staleness around that kind of lifestyle. So important just to come back to self and realize who you are. And
because we're constantly mind are busy to look for something. Our energy is always for something outside, but at the end of the day, if you don't bring that energy back into yourself, you keep, providing and go outside and your home is empty.
Yes.
So to fill up the essence of your home is to go into the nature. Doesn't matter which forest you go, as long as you're surrounded by some wood and greenery scene, that will help you to come back.
That's such a good analogy. Like you spending it outside and not filling it up inside. You've got to fill yourself up, and only through these kind of practices can you really attain that fulfillment. It's just not going to be out there. It's not going to be in the external. It's always going to come from the heart and the soul and your internal world.
Yes.
So Mayu, what would people expect if they came to a forest bathing therapy walk? Is that what you call it?
Yeah. Shinrin-yoku walk or forest bathing or forest walk. They will learn how to connect with nature through some activities that I provide. Once you know it, you can do it by yourself. You don't need me, probably. But they will start understanding a different level of connecting with nature. And how to connect nature is an important thing through the walk and back to yourself, slowing down, and you get experience little bit more Japanese culture as well, because at the end of the walk I provide Japanese tea and snacks, so you enjoy the culture things after the walk. That's much about it.
So it's really the walk, and then it's like a cultural experience as well as a mindfulness experience, a therapeutic experience. It's a few of these things. And how long do you normally go on those walks for?
Usually 3 hours.
3 hours.
Including with tea and snack at the end. So it's a good 3 hours. You can't believe that how fast time goes. And you do them around Sydney, or do you go anywhere? Around Sydney at the moment. Yes.
Great. Oh, that sounds fantastic. I'll have to come along.
Please do. I can't wait to take you some of the beautiful forest.
Well, we could go and should we do a demonstration now? What's the time? What do you think? Should we go over to the Bush Reserve?
That would be wonderful.
It's kind of clearing up.
Yes.
I think we could do that.
Okay.
All right. Let's do it.
Go.
Okay, so Mayu is going to explain a little bit about forest bathing and what you can expect, something you do on a walk. So, what's this?
So one of the activities I give to the people is called Shizen Asobi. Shizen means nature, Asobi is to play. So how we can play with nature. For example, you can pick up these leaves, any colors attract you, or red, you can pick up some gum nuts, tree branches as you walk.
So I've got some leaves.
Some leaves. I've got some leaves too. And what we do is we just draw something on the ground.
Okay.
So basically, like we go back to here.
So down here.
So you can use the element already there. You can add some elements in here, and you can start creating something like that.
Okay. So just making a pattern or a design, or
anything.
Just doing something fun.
Anything. Or sometimes I ask people to keep the red and do another art. So you put a red leaf in the center maybe, and you start putting attachment, and that is subconsciously showing your way of communicating with people, or your position among your friends, or it shows personality, everything you made.
Okay.
So that's kind of awareness, you know. People try to make too much things in the bottle, or like expanding, you know, just a little bit about that person. And also with these leaves, if there's some creek you can actually do so many mindfulness things in the forest. So I ask them to again pick up leaves and imagine there is a water there. I ask them to put some negative thoughts or painful experience or some pain in your body, leave it in this leaf and then just releasing
Yeah, that's
to
a nice.
the water.
Yeah.
So this is called te banashi, means releasing
Right.
from your hands, because te means hands, banashi means releasing. So your emotions is hard to get rid of, but if the leaf can take that emotion or whatever the pain is, and you actually seeing that going with the water flow, so you can actually say goodbye.
That's a
Yeah.
beautiful practice.
Yeah.
That's something that everyone could find value in, like letting
Letting go. And
yeah.
nature will carry
Yeah.
for the rest, so you don't have to worry about.
Yeah.
Nature will look after whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That kind
Mayu,
of
is there
thing.
any other things that you can show us in the forest? Is there something else that we can do, or what do you? Yeah.
If there's a lot of trees, of course there's a lot of trees, but some touchable trees, or you can invest some texture of the different leaves
Yep.
and suddenly flip it over, different colors at the back, these things that you normally don't realize it. And you get more closer to find out different plants, different colors, studying about moss, you know, the moss,
Yes.
the green moss. There's so many different types of moss. It's like a little forest in there.
So really, just exploring and
Exploring,
observing
yeah,
and being
exactly.
present
Yeah.
at all times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you start seeing the little insects,
Mm.
and they're doing their own things, you
Yeah.
know, just like us.
Yes.
Yes, what we do in life, it's the same thing is happening in the forest.
Yeah.
So you get to a similarity of your daily life in the forest.
Yeah.
And it makes you realize that we all living, you know, some kind of way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. How about, should we go and look at some bark?
Yeah.
Up here, maybe. Do you want to just do a demonstration here?
That's I think that's a stringy bark, eucalyptus trees. You see so many layers. When you touch it, you feel kind of warm. It's quite warm.
Mm.
Do you feel it?
Well, it's just a bit damp, isn't it? Because it's been
It's-
raining
yeah,
a lot. But yeah, I know
after.
what you mean.
Yeah. But
It's warm to touch.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
warm to touch. And then you slowly look up the trees and you study about the trees, and sometimes you can feel maybe this could be a female trees or male trees.
Are there female male trees?
Could be.
Could be.
Yeah. But there is, I was reading a book, there is always a mother trees and father's tree in the forest to look after. So I often ask people to look around and to find out the mother's trees in this forest.
And how do you know? How can you pick a mother tree?
There's no right or wrong answer, only you can tell. That's something that you can feel, you can something that you can attach to. Like you have probably, if you keep walking, there must be something that attracts you, or it could be your favorite tree. You can't explain why, but that is a connection there, and you start thinking, could be female, could be male. You know, you can talk to trees.
Yeah.
If you ask, are you female? Tree branches goes, means yes. Could be a female. it's
So it's really like building that relationship. Yeah, with the tree.
Yes,
And
with the trees.
Yeah.
And this is a rough bark, but for other trees, smooth bark trees, after the rain, you can just put your ears against the tree trunk and sometimes pick up the noise inside, like. So it's interesting.
It
that
is.
tree is also alive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is alive.
Yeah.
I mean, and they're giving us oxygen. We wouldn't be alive ourselves without trees.
Trees are a best partner, life partner.
Yeah,
Or life partners.
they are our life partner. That's
Without trees and plant cannot survive.
Yes, that's so true.
Mm.
Mayu, thank you so
No,
much for
thank
this
you so much.
demonstration. And so
Thank
when do
you.
you have a walk coming up? Did you want to talk about when your next events are or how people
Yeah.
can find you?
Yep.
Your
I
website?
have forest bathing and Tai Chi retreat in January next year.
Oh, fantastic.
From 21st to 24th in East Karajan, Lower Blue Mountains.
Oh, wow.
Apart
That'd be
from
amazing.
That, yeah, we actually did our first one in October and everyone really loved it. So I do a regular walk every Wednesdays and second and fourth Saturdays. It's all around Lower North Shore. I pick up some forest and we do about 3 hours walk there.
Yeah,
So you
fantastic.
Find the walk on my website, which is organicphotography.com.au/forest bathing. It's easy to find. Yeah.
Mayu, thanks so much for joining
thank
me
you
for this
so
podcast
much.
and giving us a demonstration.
Thank you.
And thanks everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you.